Okay, ladies and gents, this is the sewing video for this dress that we're making. Has a Dior dart, which is this dart right here. So if you don't know how to cut this pattern, the pattern for this dress, I will put a link up to the first part of the video for you so that you can see how we got here. But if you have watched that, welcome. Let's get on. Right, the first thing that we're going to do is transfer our markings, which are our darts. This, as you can see, is cancelled out because if, like I said, if you joined us at the cutting or at the pattern drafting of this dress, you'll see that we transfer the darts in here. All right, so we're going to transfer these markings to our fabric and our lining. And I realized that I've never shown you guys how I transfer my darts. And we'll do this for the front and for the back, obviously. So I'm showing you guys how we do this one for the front. I'll probably speed through this, so just watch. Okay, so now that I've pinned them up, I'm going to sew, and I usually start sewing my darts from the legs, not from the tip. Then I just tie it up at the tip because I don't want to be back stitching and all that. Might make your fabric pucker at the tip. Okay, so this is how it's gonna look. Right, give that a nice press. Do that to the other sides, the lining, and to the back as well. I will get back to you guys when I'm done with all that. Okay, so okay guys, I have sewn up the darts. As you can see, the darts on the back here and on the front there, right, and their corresponding linings. Everything has been ironed and it's looking good so far. So my next step, I'm going to concentrate on the front, is to sew up the front so that I can attach the yoke part of the front to the bodice part so that it's one whole piece, so that I'm not working with different parts as such. Okay, all right, let's get back to the sewing machine. So okay guys, since we have sewn up the darts, like I said before, I want to sew up the center seam of the front just so that I can treat this as one whole piece now and attach the yoke part to this part. Okay, I have a whole tutorial on how to match stripes. I even have on how to cut stripes so that they match. Okay, I won't go into all the nitty-gritty here because that video is like 4 parts. Like we're sewing a skirt, so the skirt took 4 parts, but for this one I'm just going to go through it roughly with you guys. Basically, you have to involve a whole lot of pins. Okay, then you take your ruler, measure 1 inch so that you know where you're trying to match. Okay, you take your pins, okay, pinch here. Like I said, there's more to it. Like you also have to match when you're cutting, right? So you do that. See that sometimes they won't match perfectly. You're allowed to wiggle just a bit. Should not be like tremendous. Okay, match it up as much as you can. Right, so this is what we're going to do. Till we get to the end. Okay, right, I'll get back to you guys when I'm done. So I have pinned everything as good as I could, and we can start sewing now. I'm actually very paranoid about things matching, so take this out and pin it here. Okay, so we will just continue like that till we get to the end of this part. And honestly guys, this takes time, it takes patience to actually match the patterns and to sew it up correctly, because sometimes these things don't want to listen. Okay, so this is, I hope everything is coming along like nicely now. You know what part this is. This is the front bodice. Now I'm going to attach the yoke part to this part. So let me just take everything out so that it makes more sense. This is the lining. We're going to keep that apart. So this is the yoke part, and I'm going to attach it here, and it will turn into the whole front. Bear in mind, this is a 1 inch seam allowance here, so if here looks all out of whack, there's no problem. We're just gonna join it, and yeah, everything is going to look lovely. Okay guys, right, I'll come back when I'm sewing it and I'll show you guys. So okay guys, I have joined the yoke to the front part of the bodice, and I also went ahead and joined the side paneling detail. Okay, it's just straight up sewing, and I also did that for the lining. Okay, hope you guys are following so far. Everything is ironed out and looks nice and lovely, so we are going to keep that aside, and I want to focus on the bottom half of the dress. Okay, so this is the waistband, right? I'm just now going to sew it onto the skirt. Okay, this is the back part of the skirt. As you can see, we have cut two parts, right? This is the center seam where we're going to add our zip. So I will do this to the back and do this to the front, and when I come back I'll show you guys. Then we are going to sew up our all-in-one facing for the front. Then when I get back, we're going to sew our all-in-one facing, which is how we're going to attach our lining to our main bodice piece. Okay, so let me just do that quickly and I'll show you guys. Okay guys, I have sewed on and ironed the waistband to the skirt piece. You can see it here. Okay, these are the two pieces for the back, and this is the piece for the front. All right, so now that I've ironed this, I'm just going to put it aside because I want to work on the front. And I took down the neckline because it was kind of too high for me. All right, but that doesn't change anything. So I'll put up the what we're trying to sew again. As you can see, there are some top stitching right up here and I think down here, right? So that is what I want to sew now. I have changed my needle to a needle with a bigger eye, and I am using, I don't know if you guys can see it's a double, get that to focus. Right, it's a double duty thread from, where did I get this from? From Coats and Clarks. Okay, this is the thread I use for all my top stitching. So yeah, in case any of you are interested in getting it. Okay, so I will just load that into my machine, and I'm going to do one row of top stitching here first, then I will do another one that is going to go here and down here, and see how I like it first. Okay, now with top stitching, there is no back stitching that's going to happen. We're just going to sew straight, right, and sew here and sew down. So like I said, I will do one first and see how I like it. Then maybe I'll do another row on top and then another one here and down here. Okay, all right, let me just thread up. Okay, so I have set up my stitch. I have changed my stitch length to the longest stitch length, right? And I want the side of my foot to just be touching the stitch line. Okay, so I will go down first, and oh no, that's wrong. Okay, so I will just start sewing and we'll see how it goes. So I did the first row of stitches and it is barely visible. Right, it is barely visible through this from the way the fabric is laying. You know, like if I did it on here, you'd see it clearly. So I just feel like I should do a second line just so that it can be visible from the top. Okay, maybe, who knows, we'll even do 3 lines. Okay, so I'm going to put another, I'm going to put my foot right next to the other line I've made, which is making it turn up in this orange space here. So I feel that will show up better. Okay, so I feel like this is a lot more better. It's a lot better. All right, you can see something at least. Right, so it's not coming out the way I wanted it to, but let me do here, you know, then I'll see if it will warrant me doing maybe a decorative stitch in the center here, just so that something shows up, right? Okay. And by the way, I'm using like regular thread in my bobbin case. So for this one, I'll go this way and just sew here and come down here. Okay. Okay. So you see what I meant by it showing up better when it's going like opposite direction of the print. Okay, so I'm just going to do another line, then I also do this side down. We'll see how everything comes out. So I hope you guys can see that. I don't know if it's coming up really clear on the camera, but in person is very, it shows up, right? In person is quite, because it's black, the contrast is really there and it's showing. Okay, so that is it for the top stitching, guys. I didn't think that went faster than I thought it was gonna go, and I don't think we need to do anything on the insides. It's okay for now. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is create our all-in-one facing so that we can close off our edges, right? Create an all-in-one facing. And I realized that I've never done that on the channel, so I will take out my time and show you guys what that is looking like. Okay, all right. Okay, so to sew an all-in-one facing for any top, any sleeveless top or dress that has a closure, on one side, either the front or the back, this is what you do. Okay, so you pin together at the shoulder seams, right, the front bodice and the back bodice. Then you also do that with the lining. Okay, okay, then after you do that, you go ahead and you sew the armhole openings and the neckline openings. Okay, so we pin the bodice and the lining at the shoulders, sew those, then lay them on top of one another together like this, right sides facing, and you sew up the armhole and the neckline. Okay, so let me do that, then I'll get back and we'll flip everything out and I'll show you how to do it. Okay. So okay guys, now that we have sewn everything up, right, and around the neckline here, we're now going to clip in, and I'll show you how we turn it over. Okay guys, we're almost there. So I have clipped into all my curves because this whole thing is one giant curve, right? The whole neckline and the armhole. Okay, so we have clipped into that. Then we are now going to reach in through this hole here and take out the back, right, the back pieces, put them through this shoulder hole here, right, and pull it to the front. Okay, so you need to take your time with it. There's not going to be, you can't rush it at all, and you need to be easy so that you don't tug and rip anything. Okay, show you guys. Pull it right through. Okay, see that? So we have done this side. Okay, I'll show you guys again so it's very clear. So now this is the armhole for the back, and this is the armhole for the front. Okay, remember all this is the front, and you can see here has been cleanly finished, right? So we would do the same thing to this side, give it a good press, then understitch. It is very, very vital you understitch for this type of facing so that everything stays nice and flat. You come and you understitch all here as far as you can go, because you can only go so far, okay? But give it a good nice press, lots of steam, and everything should be nice. I'll come back and show you guys how mine looks. Okay, so here we are. Everything has been turned around. Okay, you really need to take your time and fold it down properly. You know, make sure one side isn't coming out, and press, then understitch. Okay, all right. We are pretty much done with the front. All we need to do is attach this where is it? Attach this skirt. All we need to do is attach this skirt bit, right? And the front is all done. Then for the back, we'll attach the skirt bit as well, but we need to attach the zip, which is going to be a railroad zip. And in case you don't know what that is, I have other tutorials on the channel showing you what that is. I will link it in the cards, but we are going to do that. And I think I also want to top stitch at the back, you know, because it seems like all the drama is going on in the front and nothing at the back. So I will top stitch the zip for the back. Okay, then we'll talk about the pockets and hem everything up and close the side seams. But yeah, nice one, guys. Okay, peeps, so this is the bodice all ironed, right? Everything is ironed, and I will now go and understitch right here. And I have a video explaining what all these sewing terms are. I'll hook it up in the cards for you guys. But understitching basically is just to stitch here like 1/8 of an inch so that the lining doesn't roll over to the front. Okay, I will do that, and also I will be attaching the skirt to the top. Then I will come back and be with you guys. Okay, all right. Okay, guys, this is the top all stitched to the shoulders and a skirt bit attached. Okay, so it's the same thing for the back, and I just wanted you guys to come in and get a good look. Okay, so I will now go and attach the zip to the back, and we will attach the side seams, then also the pockets. Can't forget about the pockets. Okay, back to the sewing machine. So okay, guys, this is our zipper. I'm going to do a railroad zip, and if you don't know what that is, I have a whole playlist on the channel showing you guys how to install that. But anyways, I'm just going to stitch on my largest stitch from the back here. Then, like I was saying before, I intend to do top stitching on the front, so I will now turn it over, use the black top stitching thread and stitch it round, because it's gonna go, there's gonna be a top stitch that will go round. Then I will put the lining and we should be good to go from there. Okay. Guys, using the top stitching for this zip was such a nightmare, but at the end of this tutorial, this video, I will give you guys a twirl of the dress, so wait till then and see. Okay, to reiterate, we have joined up all our pieces. All that is left is to sew up the side seams and the hem. Now I want to show you guys how since we did since for this sew along we did an all-in-one facing, right? So as you can see here, is all cleanly finished on the inside. I want to show you guys how I do my side seams up. And now most people would just pin it, you know, just pin both side seams like this and sew up, but I prefer to have my seams enclosed. Okay, so I will show you guys how I do that. And basically I just pin them like this and then sew down the side seam of the lining and down the side seam of our garment, so that everything is tucked in. Okay, then I also want to show you guys this method. It helps me cut down on the amount of adjustments I have to make, right? First things first, we'll fold everything in half the way it's supposed to be. Hey guys, sorry about everything, but I ran out of space in my phone, and in the process of taking out some videos, I lost the power. I was teaching you guys how I join up my side seams to reduce fitting issues, the number of times I have to fit. Okay, so as a consequence, I have already sewn up the sides, but I will still show you guys. I haven't hemmed though, so that's all that is left. But I've joined up the sides, but I will show you guys how I do it. Okay, now because this is an A-line dress at the bottom, I will just go with my 1-inch seam allowance at the hem. Okay, I'll show you guys. See, that's about 1 inch, right? Then after doing all that, you also do this for the lining, right? Then I would take my bust measurement, which my bust is 40, so in this garment I picked 10. That will make it 10 inches, right? So I just go for the center of the dress and get 10 inches, right? And I mark with my chalk. Mark it with your chalk. My waist was 33 inches, which is about 8 1/4. You mark with your chalk. Then, like I said, all down here is just an A line, so I would draw the line straight till I got to my 1 inch at the hem there. Then I would just connect the lines. Then I would transfer these lines to my lining as well. Do the same thing. As you can see, I did here. Don't know if you can see, but you can see the blue lines. Then this is what I would join for my side seams. Do you understand? Because I've already taken the markings, right? And it's better to do it this way, because sometimes even woven fabrics can stretch, right? So if you do it this way, you cut down so much on the amount of fittings you have to do, right? So after taking these measurements, we just sew up like I have sewn here, right? You can see I sewed, right? Then, like I was saying, if this was a fitted garment, or if this was, you know, tapered, then I would take whatever measurements I wanted at the hem. I would take the hip measurement as well and mark and draw a line and just sew. Okay, that is what I wanted to show you guys, right? As you can see, I have already sewn up mine at the side seams, but I haven't sewn up the lining, right? So yeah, that's about it for the dress. And I also wanted to tell you guys, like, I decided against the patch pockets and the buttons because it just made everything look so extra. Like, this pattern is already busy enough, it didn't need any more. So I will go and sew all this up, then when I come back, hopefully you should see me twirling the finished garment for you guys. And yeah, thanks for tuning in to the second part of the tutorial where we have the talking hands, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.